Okay, tonight I thought I would do a Orbiter 2010 video. This is going to be a little different than what I usually do. I'm going to call this a fly with me video. I'm going to pick the ready for takeoff to ISS scenario out of the XR2 Ravenstar folder. Hit launch orbiter. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to fly along some random thing. I haven't practiced this. I didn't put any planning in this, and I'm just gonna circumnavigate the globe and land back at KSC, Kennedy Space Center. And the way this is going to be different than my usual video is I'm not really gonna explain each and everything I'm doing. This is just kind of like a blabcast, if you've ever heard of that, or like I said, maybe just a fly with me. So I'll just kind of talk when I feel like it.
Welcome aboard, Commander. All systems nominal.
I won't talk when I don't feel like it. So let's see here. If I'm going to go around the globe, I'm not going to go to the ISS, so I can choose no orbit. And don't need that. So I'm just gonna go. I'm not gonna do any more planning or thinking. Go full throttle here. Change my HUD color to something I can actually see.
100 knots. V1. Rotate. Wheels up. Gear up.
Raise the landing gear, all important step.
Gear up and locked.
I'm just going to go to a heading of 90 degrees. I believe that will take me all the way around the globe one time and bring me back to the runway that I'm taking off from. That's the plan anyway. See how it goes. So here is 90 degrees. Full throttle. Pitch up. And while we're climbing up through the atmosphere, take a peek at the external camera. Try to spin the camera around here a little bit. It's a cool view, isn't it?
Mach 1.
Go back to the external camera for a minute. Switch over to scram engines here in a moment. Go ahead and take advantage of the fact that we do have some scram fuel.
Mach 2.
Not really worried about getting into a full proper orbit since I'm only going to go around one time. Okay, there we are, basically level. Switch this over. Oops, pitching down there a little bit too much.
Mach 3.
It's Mach 3, so we'll open the scram doors. And scram. Kill the main. I'm going to start pitching up here a little bit. Keep an eye on the temperature display there in the middle.
Mach 4.
getting too high. I should start pitching down a little bit.
Mach 6.
Getting a little bit of heat, but that's okay. I believe the scram engines actually are more efficient when the hull of the vessel's hot. Seem to have read that somewhere. And that's kind of the rule of thumb I go by. Of course, you don't want to overheat, because then you die.
Mach 9.
Just adjusting my elevator trim here a little bit to try to keep the vertical speed relatively
Mach
low.
10.
That way I don't climb too quickly. Won't run out of the scram fuel if I climb too quickly. So I'm actually going to go ahead and definitely need to climb now. Temperature's climbing.
Warning, hull temperature. Warning, Mach hull temperature.
This isn't going to be a very good fly with me if I burn up.
Warning, hull temperature.
Okay, danger's passed.
Mach 13.
Pitching down a little
Mach
bit.
14.
Oops.
Mach 15.
Pitch up now. Raise the elevator a little bit because we're starting to actually descend.
Mach 16.
Hull's getting warm.
Warning, hull temperature. Mach 17.
Yeah, I know.
Mach 18.
6,000 meters a second. Not too far away from orbital velocity. Scram fuel's almost gone.
Warning, scram fuel low. Mach 19.
Diffuser temperature is almost...
Warning, scram fuel depleted.
Okay, close the scram doors.
Hitch rotation.
And we'll turn
Mach
the
20.
main engines back to full throttle. Continue the right orbit.
Mach 21. Mach 22. Mach 23.
Keeping an eye on the orbit MFD over there on the left. Just is coming up on 180. Probably start descending a little bit because I'm only at 75 kilometers. So I'm getting a little bit of atmospheric drag still, I suppose.
Off. Mach 26.
Remember to open the radiator here in a moment. So I can go ahead and do that now, so I don't forget. Turn the APU back on. I believe it's Control R.
Information. APU fuel 90%.
No, it's Alt R. That opens the radiator. See that graphic there, or the animation rather. And the point of having the radiator open,
Mach 27 plus.
so that our coolant temperature doesn't climb. It actually gets into the red here at some point, and you'll overheat. So we do have to have that radiator open. Alright, so I'm going to go around one time and try to land back there at the base. So let's just plan for how to do this. So I'm going to be doing my deorbit burn here in about somewhere over here. I will reach apoapsis here in about 900 seconds, and I will need to circularize the orbit because I don't know exactly, let's see, if I'm here and I'm going to deorbit, I don't know, I can't figure it out. I'll just circularize the orbit. Okay, so press H twice to bring up the orbit HUD, and I will fast forward time now to the apoapsis. Coming up on apoapsis. Suppose I can change my HUD color back to green now that I can see since I'm out of the atmosphere. Coming up with apoapsis in 30 seconds. Was lucky. It's certainly close enough for this purpose. Okay, now let's see here. We're going to do base sync, target, Cape Canaveral. And we're going to switch equator to direct. Hit mod, turn that graphic off because it serves no purpose in my opinion. And the time to the node, 300 seconds, so I can make a correction here for this off base distance. So I'll go ahead and warp time ahead to get closer to the time to the node. Okay, and this is going to be orbit minus, as indicated here. And it probably won't settle the vessel in time for this to be, for me to be doing the burn at exactly the right time, but it should be close. Looks like I'll get it basically when this is about 7 seconds. Missing it by a couple seconds there, but that's okay. And there we go. Burning. Distance to the base is now and we'll get it to basically 0, even though once I do the deorbit burn it'll probably have some kind of an impact on the distance to the base, and I don't know what that's going to be, which direction, so we'll just go with with that. That's pretty good there. Okay. So now we'll go to the point of the deorbit burn. But as long as I'm still on the sunny side of the planet, take a look at the external camera. Hopefully it's not twitching too bad in the video. Okay, now we'll do the deorbit burn when we're basically halfway around the planet, and there's probably a few different indications for when that is. I tend to look at the distance indicator on map MFD. I suppose this one works just as well, but the idea is that right now this is counting up, which means we are not yet halfway around the planet. Once it reaches something like 17,000 kilometers or 18,000, somewhere in that range, it'll top out and then it'll start counting down. And when that happens, when it starts counting down, that's how I know I've crossed the halfway point and I'm actually getting closer to the base instead of further away. So here we're at 19,430 kilometers, and now it's counting down, so I've reached the halfway point. So I'm going to go retrograde. And bring up an external MFD just so I don't have to close either one of these. And I'm going to bring up aero brake. Hit page and then PRJ. Hit mod to get rid of this information. Now target Cape Canaveral. And what I'm going to do here is just burn until this green dashed line ends over top of this yellow box. You'll see this green line, it'll start to shrink and get closer to that point. So go ahead and do that now. You can see the distance to the base there, and base sync getting a little bit further out. That's okay. We have a lot of room to play with when we glide down through the atmosphere. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I really overshot that. Okay, that's alright. Easiest way to fix that.
APU offline.
Open the retro doors. I could switch around to the prograde position, but this is actually easier. And I'll just do a little bit of retrograde burn, or rather retro engine burn. And you can see here, that's what I'm looking at. So now I'll do a little bit of main engine burn actually, and that's good enough. Any other adjustment that needs to be made can all be done with changing the angle of attack. So I'll close the retrograde doors. Turn off the APU. And turn off retrograde autopilot. And I only need to have that set to 1 orbit because I'm landing right away. Okay, so now I will fast forward until I'm at entry interface, which is 120 kilometers. And there's 120 kilometers. So now I can go prograde. Just face forward. And we'll bring up the attitude hold autopilot Change over to AOA. 45 degrees is the magic number, give or take 0.05, which will adjust as we descend down through the atmosphere. Go ahead and engage that. And here shortly we will close the radiator. That's an important thing to remember to do. And I'm just keeping an eye on aero brake here to see what adjustments need to be made as the ship settles. I think I can go ahead and close the radiator now. Turn the APU on. Hold R. There's the animation of it closing. And I can see here from aero brake that I'm coming up short according to this current trajectory. So, easiest way to fix that is just to lower the angle of attack a little bit. Actually, that raises it. So try 44.5. Try 44 degrees. Try 43 degrees. And it's getting pretty close. 42.5. You can see it getting in there. And that's probably going to be about right. Yep, we'll go with that. Could actually come up a little long, like out to here maybe, and that'll get me to the base faster, and then I can do a little bit more braking when I get to that point, but this looks pretty good here. I'll just go with this. So we can zoom in here with map and FD, see where we're at. Crossing the, what is that called, the Terminator or something like that. So we're coming into sunrise. And we've got 6,000 kilometers to go. And at this point I can go ahead and fast forward a little bit.
Mach 27 plus.
Get down to about 60 kilometers. See, our off-plane distance is actually, or rather our off-base distance is actually coming down a little bit. That's cool. 80 kilometers. Still looking good here.
Mach 26.
70 kilometers. Okay, I'm not going to be able to use 10x acceleration at this point because I can see the autopilot is fighting pretty aggressively at this point to maintain all the correct attitude. And now this is off a bit, so go ahead and pitch down a little bit more. Okay, and we're now 3,500 kilometers away from the base, coming in over the coast of west coast of the United States, Los Estados Unidos.
Mach 25.
Got a lot of extra fuel I could dump, lighten the vessel, make for a safer re-entry. Got 13 days worth of locks. Go ahead and dump some of it.
Warning, locks dump.
This would have been
locks dump.
more efficient if I had done this immediately after achieving
Warning, locks dump.
orbital velocity. Actually, I shouldn't have even taken off with all this extra oxygen. I should have just dumped it all on the runway.
Warning, locks dump.
But I didn't think about it. And this is just a fly with me. It's not a
Warning, LOX
tutorial
dump.
or anything like that.
Warning, LOX dump. Warning, LOX dump.
Information.
Warning,
Lock
20 LOX dump.
80%.
Warning, LOX dump. Warning, LOX dump.
Okay. I can see some stuff going on here. I used a bit of time acceleration to speed up that LOX dump, so now I gotta see what's going on. 2,500 kilometers away from the base. Looks like we're coming in right across the border of Mexico and the United States. And our target's still a bit off. Pitch down a little bit more. And wow, look at that, right on the base. But if we're going to be landing on runway,
Mach 23.
what are we going to land on? Runway 15? So that's almost north-south, that's 150 degrees, so we basically need to come in, we need to miss the base by like 20 or 30 kilometers to the north. That way, let's say this is the runway, this green line here. If we come in and land, if we come into the base this way, we can't, immediately do a right angle turn and land. So what I want to do is actually come in this way. Let's say this is the runway, so I'll come in up here, and let's say this is 30 kilometers. So I'll hit this point, and then it gives me plenty of time to bank, turn around, and come in on the runway. So instead of landing, or instead of coming in this way, I'm actually going to do a little bit of banking here a little bit, and make this target
Mach
purposely
22.
up this way. I'll show you what I mean here in a moment. So here we go. We'll bank to the left, which based on our direction that we're headed, that'll put us north of the runway. See here. 1,700 kilometers from the base.
Mach 21.
And I should probably pitch down a little bit more to 41 degrees because I want to make sure I don't come up short. 58 kilometers, probably getting some plasma, or will be shortly. Starting to see that orange glow just a little bit there. Cue the Nelly music, it's getting hot in here. (1,100 kilometers to base). What is our orbital speed? 6,000 meters a second. Can't really do a whole lot right now. Going so quickly and so close to the base. It's not really flying, it's more like programming a computer and telling it what to do and then having it carry out the instructions. There's just too much happening too quickly
Mach
to be able to
17.
realistically quote-unquote fly. Are we gonna overheat? That would suck. No, I'm good. Okay, what's going on here? We're 700 kilometers to the base. I don't need this anymore. Glide slope MFD is my best friend when landing. And I want runway... I never know which direction to go. Cape Canaveral 15.
Mach
Mod.
15.
Mod. Change the unit measurement to kilometers. And this gives me an idea if I'm on the right path or not. As I get closer to Cape Canaveral, it'll become more evident as to what direction the runway is.
Mach 14.
I don't have to worry about overheating at this point. Peak heating's passed. So I don't need to look at the temperature display. Put in a little more left bank there.
Mach 13.
Still cruising along at 4,000 meters a second. 400
Mach 12.
kilometers from the base. Still well on target here. Probably don't need this anymore, but I'll go ahead and keep it up for now. Distance that I'm missing the base by is climbing, but remember I want to come in.
Mach 11.
We can sort of start to see the direction of the runway. I don't want to have to do a hard right angle when I get there. I want to be able to, do a nice glide. Okay. Should be able to see. Yep. That's the coast of Florida, I believe. So the base is over here somewhere. We're almost there.
Mach 9.
A little more left bank. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We need a lot more
Mach
left bank.
7. Mach 6. Pitch on. Off.
So now we can start to see the runway alignment. So I'm
Mach
coming in this
5.
way. That puts me well in front of the runway, so I'll have time to bank toward the south and land and hopefully do it right. And I don't need this anymore. Go ahead and zero out the bank now. And when this drops a little bit lower, I will turn off the autopilot and attempt to land.
Mach 3.
Okay, I believe I can handle it from here. So disengage and then immediately adjust the elevator trim. Pitch down, see where I'm at.
Mach 2. 5,000. 4,000. Subsonic. 3,000. 2,000. 'You are cleared to land. 1,900. Information. 8 APU fuel 70%. 600. 500. 400. 300. Warning, gear is up. 200. Warning, 100. Gear is up. 75. Gear down and locked. 50. 30. 15. 8. 8. 6. 4. 2. Wheels down.
Woohoo, we made it without crashing. Wheel stop here in just a moment.
100 knots. Wheel stop.
Alright. I can't ever see that green HUD when I'm in the atmosphere. Okay. So that was 1 hour 43 minutes all the way around back at Cape Canaveral. All in all, I would say things went pretty well. How far away from the end of the runway are we? We have plenty of room. Well, not plenty, but not bad. Okay, well, I had fun doing that. Hopefully it was fun watching. If you liked it, put a comment down below, and I'll do some more of these Fly With Me videos. Goodbye.